Okay, hello everyone. This is our staff meeting, computing 10 minutes, well, hopefully 10 minutes. Um, and we're in phases, so obviously I'm not here to show you. It would have been a lot easier if I was able to show you all in one go. But here we are, back to virtual training. So I've just got this page up. You should have copies of this printed for your group. And basically, you should also have an iPad that you can scan these codes. There's three of them, and it will take you to a website. This one takes you to Google Forms, this one Chrome Music Lab, and this one to a published Google Slide file that I've created. If you haven't had a play with that yet, I'd suggest that you pause the video for now and just spend a couple of minutes, open up the camera app on the iPads, scan this QR code, and it will come up with a pop-up that will take you to the website. Okay, so pause this and have a go at that, and then in a couple of minutes' time, I'm going to talk through how you can make these and some of the possible uses of these three examples that I've given you. Right, so hopefully now you've had a play with the different websites on the QR codes. I'm just going to jump to the first one, which is the Light Up Christmas cards. So I use Google Forms to create this, and I'll show you another example of what you can do with Google Forms in a few minutes. If you don't know how to use Google Forms, that's something I could put in a couple of videos, probably after Easter at some point, to show people and talk through how to use them. But essentially, Google Forms will create questionnaires. Okay, so we set this around Christmas time for our year sixes because they were designing light up Christmas cards. To share this out, there's a button just along where the website address is. If I press here, there is an option for QR code. Now if I press that, it will automatically generate a QR code that will take us straight to this site. Now, if you're using this in the classroom, you might just want to stop here and put it up on screen. So open up the website that you want the children to use, press the QR code, and then they can come up and scan it. There's no need to print it off. However, if you were setting it for homework, for example, or if you wanted something going in books with the date and LO, with the QR code to show what they've done, we can hit the download button. It will download very, very quickly and pop up down here. I'm then going to go to a blank Google Docs file, which I already opened here, and then I literally just drag and drop that in. And we now have our QR code. That will work now like a picture, so I can resize that. Okay, we can make it significantly smaller as long as it's still kind of viewable. We can type to the side of it. Now, at the moment, the wrapping means that it's gone down to the bottom. So if I just go onto my image and go to image options, there is an option for text wrapping, and I can set to this one wrap text, which means that the text will now go alongside it rather than at the bottom of it. Okay, so that is how you can get your QR codes. So for this one, because I had multiple QR codes, I put it into a table and I put next to each one what it was, because otherwise if you made 3 QR codes first, it would be very easy to forget where it's taking you to. Okay, so that's how you make them. So the 3 different types that I've put together to show you. The first one with this light up cards, so for research, so for DT, product research. We've got Lee's made a safeguarding questionnaire that's going out to year 2 to year 6 in the next couple of weeks. That it's just so easy to make, and it collects and sorts and organises all of your information, all of the responses. I also made this one. Just go to the next one there. This was during lockdown actually, but I've used it again this year. So I used the Snippy tool and took a section from a Twinkle document, and then basically so drop that in as a picture, and we've got A down to I, and I then put A, B, C, D all the way down as questions. But you'll notice as well over here it says 1 point. That's because on Google Forms you can set things as a quiz with right or wrong answers. So I did that where I put the answers so that once they hit the submit button at the end, it will then mark it straight away for them. And then similar thing that you could just have a QR code, date and hello, and then maybe a couple of lines just to say my score was and what I need to work on, and then they're self-assessing, what went well and what they need to improve on. Chrome Music Lab, I'm not going to go into great detail at this, but this is fantastic for music, obviously, but also things like sequencing and math, so computing and maths in there as well. So if we go into SongMaker, for example, and this one I used about 2 or 3 weeks ago with Year 6, because I wanted them to explore tempo and understand how tempo can change the speed of a song. So, we could talk about the tempo, it's 120. Well, what would happen if I half that tempo? So, we're using that kind of vocabulary where they're saying, okay, I have to half it, and they're working out half 120 is 60, but they're not actually thinking that it's a math lesson. And also, if we put in some sections like this, so another thing that I did is I started a pattern, it's something a little bit like this, and I said, right, okay, I want you to copy that and then finish it. Now, some of them used repeating, so they were using loops, which is computing kind of vocabulary and terminology. Some of them changed it completely. Some of them asked if they could add extra elements to the section here, and then they could change the instrument and obviously play with the tempo as well. And then if we hit the play, help if the sound was on, try again. Okay, so they're thinking about the composition, so the music elements, but they're also thinking about the sequence and looping and speed and so on. So there's lots of different kind of possibilities there. And that's just one of the apps on Google Chrome Music Lab. There are lots. So there's lots of different ones that really you can use from reception onwards. This will work on any computer, any tablet, completely free. So you can use a QR code to get to it. Finally, so this one, just close that a moment. So this I created for a poetry unit we were doing earlier this half term, and it kind of looks like a website essentially. When you press onto these ones, it will take you to different poems, and it was our text immersion. So we were doing narrative poetry, and I wanted them to explore these poems and understand what narrative poetry was and get some of the kind of key vocabulary relating to storms, because that was what our poem was going to be about. This was created simply using Google Slides. So we've got our slides in here, and then the only thing that I did to help kind of link those together in terms of these buttons is adding some hyperlinks. So to add in a hyperlink, you would just draw your box. So this one, for example, so click onto there. So I've got this box. If I press Control K, it will open up this option screen where you can link it to somewhere else. So when we press onto it, it will take us to a certain place. We've got some of our most recent files in Google Drive here. We've got Warren's writing assessment, which he shared with me yesterday. But if I go onto slides in this presentation, I can set it to go to a specific slide. So points to consider, it will now take me to that one. If we were pressed on the actual, hang on a moment, if we pressed on the box, there we go, rather than the text. So if I press onto here, points to consider, that's where it's taking us to. Okay, and each one is taking us to somewhere different. Now, you don't have to do that every time, every slide. Once I've done it once, once I'd made this one, I could just draw a box around all of these ones and then copy, not those bits, draw a box around these ones and copy and paste. Let's try doing it like that and see if it'll take them. There we go. And copy, so Control C, and then paste it on another page, and it will remember where those slides are taking us to. Okay, so and then finally, once I've got my PowerPoint or my Google Slides the way I want it, I can go to this option here, Publish to the Web. It will have an option to publish here. Obviously this one's already published. So when I press Publish, you get this link. I copy that, paste it up here, so it'll take us to our PowerPoint, and then get the QR code. Okay, I'll go into that in a bit more detail in the videos probably after May half term. I would have thought would be a good time to do that, but hopefully that is going to give you some ideas on how to use the QR codes. The reason that I want to do it this way for our text immersion is because we had 6 poems. Back onto this one. So we had 6 different poems on here, that even if we did one between two and back to back, it's still going to be 3 pieces of paper for them to get that text immersion, which with a 90 children year group, we're looking at nearly 150 pieces of paper, just to spend, one lesson looking at some different poems. Whereas I thought it'd be far easier to just put it onto the iPads and kind of save the photocopying costs and the photocopying time. And it's there every year now as well. So hopefully that's been useful. So that is how you can add QR codes and use them with the iPads. It's something that I've been using quite a lot over the last kind of couple of months, and hopefully you can use it too. So thanks everybody.